Okay, good morning, everyone. Um, That's a couple of hot days, but looks like it's going to cool off a little bit. I've been a little under the weather, but I'm getting my strength back slow but sure. Well, it's nice to be with you today. I didn't get a chance to preach on Sunday. I'm just kind of getting into saying Mass. So I wanted to say a few words about last Sunday's Gospel. And let me read the part that I want to talk about first, and then we'll talk about it. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials, named Jairus, came forward. Seeing Jesus, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please come and lay your hands on her that she may get well and live." So Jesus went off with him, and a large crowd followed and pressed upon him. And while he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except for Peter, James, and John. And when they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of the commotion. People were weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out and took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and entered the room where the child was. He took the child by the hand and said to her, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astounded. He gave strict orders that no one should know this, and said that she should be given something to eat. The Gospel of the Lord. Always with miracles in the Gospel, there is always a deeper meaning. There is obviously a meaning on the surface, and we'll look at that for a moment. But our goal today is to see the deeper meaning. There's a cemetery in Tennessee. It's the oldest cemetery in the state. It goes back to 1810. And as you look at all those tombstones, you notice that almost half of them are tombstones of children. And at the bottom of every one of those tombstones of children are the words of this gospel today. She is not dead, she is asleep. There is nothing more devastating than the death of a child, and especially the death of your child. The synagogue official, Jairus, didn't like Jesus. They didn't see eye to eye. He didn't like what Jesus said about the law. He didn't like the fact that he cured on the Sabbath, but all that didn't matter anymore. It was a desperate situation. And so he came and knelt at Jesus' feet and asked him to come and cure his little daughter. That happened in our own family. We've all had those kinds of experiences, but this is an experience within our own family. When my brother and his wife were married, they waited anxiously for the birth of their first child. And they were so happy, and in fact they gave the little girl a name, Katie. And when Katie was born, everybody was really excited and happy until the doctor came in with x-rays that showed that Katie had suffered 22 fractures while in the womb. That she had this rare disease that we never heard of. They call it brittle bone disease. That her bones do not absorb calcium, so they break very easily. she could roll over and break a leg or an arm. And you couldn't even hold her. You had to put her in this specially made bassinet, and you picked the whole bassinet up. But my brother was really determined that he would improve Katie's situation and even perhaps get her to the point where she could walk. So he worked with her every day, and they prayed every night. And on this one particular night, when my brother was really frustrated, he said to Katie, "Now look, Katie, after we pray for all these people, I want you to pray to God. I want you to ask God to make you better, to help you to walk." And Katie closed her eyes and for a moment, and then opened them and looked at my brother and said, "Daddy, him say no." Well, Katie only lived to be 5. She was very bright and intelligent, and she fell off her high chair one day and hit her head, and that was it. And that was a devastating blow to our whole family, and especially my brother and his wife. And if you would ask them, when did Katie die, even though it was years ago, they would say, yesterday, because the wound was so fresh. It's always fresh. It's always there. That's the obvious meaning of the miracle of the gospel, that this is a situation where it's humanly impossible, that all the doctors and all the medication and all the science comes up short, can't do anything. And so it's a situation where Jairus has nowhere else to go, and he kneels at Jesus' feet and says, "Come, only you can cure my child." But there's a deeper meaning to this miracle that really touches us, even though we may never have lost a child. And that is, there is always something in every one of us that we just can't overcome. And all of the efforts and all of the science and all of the things we try just come up short, and we just can't do it. It's a situation that is humanly impossible, whatever that is. We all have something in there that we really can't get a handle on. And so we come before Jesus and we say, come down, come into my life, come into my heart, come into this situation, because I can't do it. It's that old expression, let go and let God. So I hope you'll do that in your own life, whatever you face, that sometimes we just have to surrender, that in our weakness, God is strong, and we ask him to come into our life and to do what we can't do or science can't do. All right, everybody, it was good to be with you today, and I hope you have a good day. God bless you.